Saber is going to be one publisher I avoid from now on, which is a shame because they have some talented developers.
Well, bye.
What is up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the intolerably informative Dr. Disaster. And while I truly loved the hell out of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 when it came out, it is incredible how actually what I enjoyed the most out of that release was the CEO of Saber Interactive, the company that developed the game, announcing that he was in alignment with the gamer chuds.
That's some good shit.
A few years ago, the CEO of Saber Interactive seemingly posted this on an Asmongold video, writing, "Hey man, CEO of Saber here, I love your videos. When we signed the deal to make Space Marine 2, all I wanted was a throwback game. We had the chance to work on something which, by its nature, was old school. I can't even comprehend many of the current games that we play these days. They are too complex and too much of an investment. We worked on Halo back in the day, and that game could be distilled down to the simplest of shooting loops, but it was entirely addicting. That is what we wanted to recapture. I hope that games like Space Marine 2 and Wukong are the start of a reversion to a time when games were simply about fun and immersion. I spent some time as Chief Operating Officer at Embracer, and I saw games there that made me want to cry with overblown attempts at messaging or imposing morals on gamers. We just want to do some glory kills and get the heart rate up a little. For me, that is what games should be about."
Good point.
Well, as you can imagine, this did not go over well with the game journalist crowd out there. In fact, they flipped a lid. It was not entirely clear at first that this comment on Asmongold's video was actually the CEO of Saber, Matthew Karch. The game journalists started asking Saber Interactive for a comment, hoping to find out that this was an imposter because they didn't want to believe that a major AAA studio could actually be aligned against them and their views of the gaming world. But alas, as you can see from this headline here, Saber never responded, which indicated that this was true, and it was the right move, by the way, not to take questions from these losers in the mainstream media, because they would have just twisted their words and used it to smear Saber. Ignoring them forced these game journalists to impotently rage at what was happening.
Ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless. Oh, so angry.
Well, fast forward a couple years, and now these game journalists are trying to smear Saber Interactive for a ride-share simulator game that they are putting out. The writer for that title was fired and claimed that Saber replaced this person with AI in order to get the anti-AI crowd to start hating Saber out of spite for having been laid off. Well, in response, this same CEO, Matthew Karch, just publicly clarified what actually happened according to them, which does not sound at all scandalous. And more than that, he mocked this bozo who tried to slander him and his company, and now the redditors are losing their minds and essentially planning to boycott anything from Saber Interactive.
Adios, turd nuggets.
Alright, me hearties. First of all, in order to give you the full context as to what happened this week at Saber Interactive, this right here is the person that was removed from their job at Saber Interactive and has made the accusation that they were replaced with ChatGPT as a writer. This person is openly trans and openly progressive and shit-libbish as hell, and this should serve as a warning to all the studios out there. Don't hire people like this. They are spiteful jerks who will use any trick they can to get their way. So, with that being said, let's take a look at this post here from this person. This is what kicked off the entire controversy this writer wrote on social media in response to a YouTube video about Rideshare Simulator.
I didn't see this had been announced. I was lead writer on this one, and Saber replaced me with ChatGPT midway through development. All the passenger voices were AI too. Either they changed direction at some point, or they're not disclosing it on Steam.
And keep in mind that these people have confidentiality clauses in their contracts which prevent them from disclosing stuff like this for exactly this reason. Disgruntled former employees will often attempt to paint things in the most negative light possible for their former employers. Anyhow, Matthew Karch fired back publicly with guns ablazing. The CEO of Larian allowed this sort of AI controversy several months ago to turn he and his studio into whipped pups. And don't get me wrong, I actually don't mind Larian or their CEO, but this response here from Matthew Karch is how it's done. It says here, This Week in Video Games requested a follow-up comment from Saber Interactive and received the following statement from Karch. Stella who? I had to ask Claude because I have never spoken to her or seen her. We have already said we are using AI for certain parts of the game and will update the Steam page once we have finalized the feature set. Let me clarify that the entire story script, were it to win an award, would go to someone who can walk up on stage and receive it. It was always our intention to reveal this until Stella violated her confidentiality clause and revealed this before we were ready. We look at our use of AI in this particular game, which will be a lower priced title, as a plus for consumers, he said. As far as Stella is concerned, she was replaced by someone more talented and terminated for a variety of reasons a few months later. From what I can gather, she enjoys controversy even more than I do. I would frankly, in retrospect, have been happy to replace her with AI. At least we would be dealing with someone programmed to be honest. And that right there is absolutely freaking hilarious. First of all, every studio is using AI now to some degree, let's just be real about that, and pretending like they aren't, and that the battle against this tech is even vaguely winnable, pretending like that's the case is amusing to me. That isn't a value judgment, by the way. You are allowed to wish that AI didn't exist. I also, for example, wish that nukes were never invented, but AI isn't going anywhere, so people acting high and mighty about its usage are just being silly. Second of all, I love how this guy, this CEO at Saber Interactive, I love how he refuses to be shamed or forced to kowtow to the shitlib framing of all of this. In fact, he fired back and told these idiots to piss off, which is pretty funny. Anyhow, this is how the fired writer Stella Sacco responded on Blue Sky, calling for what amounts to a modern audience boycott of anything from Saber, which I imagine Rideshare Simulator won't probably be a huge hit, but good luck boycotting Space Marine 3 or the KOTOR remake. Anyhow, this dolt wrote,
Hey everybody, I've seen the statement by Matt Karch, the CEO of Saber, and all of the truly horrendous things he said about me. I think it should be obvious to anyone who reads that statement. He's lashing out because he did not want people to know there was AI use in the game.
Correct, dummy. They had not made the announcement yet, and you almost certainly violated clauses in your contract by disclosing it before the company was prepared to disclose it. But, reading on,
Everything I said was true. Here's more truth. That statement is remarkably pathetic for the CEO of any company to be making, and combined with the AI use, it will do far more damage to Saber's reputation than it ever could mine. This screed will be many people's first exposure to the Saber brand. I appreciate everyone's support, but people who know me know I'm a person person of principle, and one of those principles is don't let them get away with it. I'm comfortable with what I said, and everyone got to see what kind of man runs Saber.
And the usual idiots are having a meltdown in response to all of this and calling on people not to support Saber on Reddit. This commenter here wrote,
"What an insufferable person. I've seen enough. This alone has given me plenty of reasons to write off their games for good. There are more than enough other better things to play without giving this loser a single cent."
And then the next guy there said,
"Remember, this is the same CEO who said he's a big fan of Asmongold, and he quit Embracer because they didn't shut down more studios for his liking."
And then this person wrote in response to the CEO statement,
"Not a great marketing pitch."
And then they added,
"I've just realized they're the ones doing the KOTOR remake. We are so cooked."
well, you're cooked because the chuds will not give a shit about your attempts to boycott that game, and we will buy the heck out of it if the game is any good. But then this guy said,
"Oh cool, a new game I never need to look into buying. Why CEOs think they can talk like this and everything will be hunky-dory, I've no idea."
And it's funny how these people are whining now that the shoe is on the other foot, and this person, this CEO of a AAA studio, is treating them like they are lowly chuds that don't matter. There are tons and tons of these types of posts on Reddit, but I will end with this one here, where someone is literally calling for violence, or at least the threat of it, and referring to Luigi Mangione, the guy who murdered a CEO because the dude, Luigi, his mind was filled with brain rot. This is who we are dealing with here, and I can't wait for Space Marine 3 to be released and to break these people's hearts with its success. Anyhow, make sure to hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. And if you're already subscribed, make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. Lots of people tell me all the time they've been unwillingly unsubscribed. And also, don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster1. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you make of this Saber Interactive controversy? Is there any doubt that the CEO of Saber Interactive is based AF? Drop your thoughts on all this into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.